Good evening and welcome. You're with News First, your number one news provider. I'm Shamir Rasooldi.
And I'm Nicola D'Zoiza. We start off with a look at tonight's headlines.
The EU is strongly reconsidering restoring the GSP Plus concession for Sri Lanka. 3 Navy personnel arrested over 2006 assassination of MP Nadaraja Raviraj. Fundamental rights petition citing former president as a respondent rejected by the Supreme Court. We will not disempower the president elected by the people's power. A statement from Minister Sajith Premadasa.
ජනතාවගෙන් පත්තුණු ජනාධිපතිවරයා අපි බල රහිත කරලා පමේ කරන්නට අපි කිසිසේත්ම උත්සාහ කරන්නේ.
There is no program to evacuate Sri Lankan nationals trapped in Yemen. Accusations from Sri Lankan workers in Yemen.
The European Union has said that they will reconsider providing the GSP Plus concession to Sri Lanka. According to the President's media division, the EU's head of delegation in Sri Lanka had made this statement when he called on President Maithripala Sirisena.
Ambassador David Daly, the EU head of delegation to Sri Lanka, called on President Maithripala Sirisena this afternoon at the President's office. The ambassador had assured that the EU is considering granting the GSP Plus concession and also the matter of lifting the ban imposed on fish imported from Sri Lanka. The President's media division adds that the ambassador had commended the efforts taken by the government to ensure human rights and build reconciliation in the country.
Minister of Housing and Samruddhi Sajith Premadasa says that the president who was elected through the people's vote will not be disempowered. The minister made this statement speaking at an event held in Tissamaharama today.
We must remember one fact. Maithripala Sirisena became the president of this country with the people's vote and blessings. Today the people have great hope that Maithripala's era will bring them a new light, new vision and new program which will uplift the lives of all the people. So we will never try to disempower the president elected by the people and turn him into a mere scarecrow. The people did not give this mandate, so Maithripala Sirisena would be disempowered and become a nominal president.
අපි කිසිසේත්ම උත්සාහ කරන්නේ. මෛත්‍රීපාල සිරිසේන මැතිතුමා බල රහිත වූ නිකම්ම නිකන් නමට ජනාධිපතිවරයෙක් පත් කරන්නට නෙමෙයි රටේ ජනතාවේ ජනවර්ම ලබා දුන්නා.
Police fired tear gas and water cannon at a university students' protest march in Kolpiti today.
University students commenced their protest march today from the premises of the University of Sri Jayawardhanapura, citing a number of grievances including the curtailing of education. According to our correspondent, the university students entered Kolpiti through High-Level Road when police fired tear gas and water cannons as the protesters attempted to approach temple trees.
A group of patients carried out a demonstration at the Kahawatha Base Hospital today. They charged that the hospital has failed to provide for the basic needs of patients who have been severely inconvenienced as a result.
The demonstration was held opposite the Kahawatha Base Hospital, blocking the Ambulipitiya-Ratnapura main road. Protesters charge that the hospital is currently experiencing a dearth of doctors and do not have the necessary medication amongst many other issues.
එක වෛද්‍යවරයයි 700කට විතර බෙහෙත් දෙන්නේ ඉන්නේ. දැන් අපි මාස 3කම බෙහෙත් දුන්නේ අපිට. මෙතෙන්ට එන 700න් 250කට විතරයි බෙහෙත් දෙන්නේ.
A correspondent noted that the Ambalipitiya-Ratnapura main road was blocked for a period of 2 hours as a result. As the patients blocked the entrance and exit doors of the hospital, doctors were not able to get out. A correspondent noted that a tense situation arose when a pediatrician of the hospital attempted to leave the hospital.
මුලින්ම මේක ගල් දෙක තුනක් ගහන්න. අපිට ගල් ගහන්න ඕනේ. අපිට කිසිම අපිට බලධාරී ගන්නලා දෙන්න කියන අපි. ඒක තමයි බලධාරීන් එන්නේ නැත්තේ මෙතන. බලධාරීන් එන්නලා දෙන්න කියන්නේ අපි. ඊළඟට අපි මේ කූඩු කරන්න බැරිය. ගැරිහිල්ලා. මුදු ගල් ගහන්න කියලා ડોක්ටර්ගේ. අපි කිසි කෙනෙකුට යන්න දෙන්නේ නැහැ. හැන්ද වෙනකම්. මමත් කිසි කෙනෙකුට යන්න දෙන්නේ නැහැ. මගේ කාර් එක මෙතන දාන්න. ඒකට ගල් ගහන්න එපා. ඔය ලොක්කෝ එනකල් මගේ කාර් එකත් ඔතන. අපිට ඉස්පිරිතාලෙට ගල් ගහන්න කියලා හරියනවා. අද ඔයගොල්ලෝ ආපු නිසා මෙහෙම වෙච්ච නිසා සමහර විට පොඩ්ඩක් බලන්න. නැත්තම් ඔය එකෙක්වත් බලන්නේ නැහැ. මම දන්නා මේක මෙච්චර ගල් වෙච්ච හැටි. ඉස්සරහට වෙන හැටි මම දන්නවා. ඉස්පිරිතාලෙට ගල් ගහන්න කිව්වලු. ගල් ගහන්න කිව්ව මම. දැන් මම ඕන්න දාට ඉරේ. මට මෙතනට ආපු ආවේග නිසා දෙන්න. මට එළියට යන්න දෙන්න නැතුව මේ මිනිස්සු ආපුවාම තේරුණාද? මට මේ මිනිස්සු ආපුවාම මට එළියට යන්න දෙන්න නැහැ.
The demonstration ceased only after a promise was made that necessary steps will be taken to provide solutions to address the situation. Meanwhile, Newsfirst correspondent visited the hospital on the 9th of this month to inquire into shortcomings there. Patients charged then too that the hospital has failed to look into their needs.
3 suspects have been arrested on suspicion of involvement in the assassination of late TNA MP Nadaraj Raviraj. The police media spokesperson noted that while one of the suspects is a serving member of the Sri Lankan Navy, the other 2 were no longer on duty.
TNA MP Nadaraj Raviraj was shot to death on Matha Road in Narayanpeta on the 10th of November 2006. Nadaraja Raviraj, who commenced his professional life as a lawyer in 1988, served as Deputy Mayor and Mayor of Jaffna between 1998 and 2001. He served as an MP from the Tamil National Alliance between 2001 and 2006. 3 suspects have been arrested 9 years after the 2006 assassination of Nadaraja Raviraj.
They were arrested several days ago. They were kept in the custody of the Criminal Investigations Department and were interrogated. It is reported that 2 of the 3 are Navy officers. One of them continues to serve in the Navy. The other 2 have retired from the Navy.
The police media spokesperson also spoke on information that has come to light thus far regarding the suspects.
They have been questioned in connection with several crimes. One is the assassination of MP Raviraj and a police officer. There is also the case of the abduction of a group of youth in 2006. 3 Navy personnel have been arrested.
The case pertaining to the abduction of several school students, in which accusations have been levelled at Navy personnel, is to be taken up in court once again tomorrow. The premise of the case is a petition filed at the Court of Appeal in 2011 over the abduction of a group of school students in Dehiwala on the 17th of August 2008.
Associate editor of the Nation newspaper, Keith Noyer, is attacked. 7 years have lapsed. Attack on the MTV-MBC studio complex in Deparnama. 6 years have lapsed. Senior journalist Lasantha Wickramatunga murdered. 6 years have lapsed. Journalist Poddala Janta attacked. 6 years have lapsed. Journalist Pragit Eknaligoda disappears. 5 years have lapsed. Siyatha TV officers attacked. 5 years have lapsed. Who is behind these incidents?
The families of 4 Navy personnel who were reported missing staged a fast opposite the Fort railway station, demanding that their loved ones be found. The families say that the 4 Navy personnel have been missing since the 29th of March 2011.
3 of the sailors were reported missing while serving at the naval base in Chundikulam, Mulethivu. The relatives added that although requests were made from Navy authorities over a period of 4 years seeking their location and whereabouts, these have not yielded results. Meanwhile, a letter addressed to the Mulethiyu SSP by the SSP of Anuradhapura, SWM Senaratna, was shown to the media by the relatives engaged in the hunger strike. The letter reads that based on a request made to the IGP, an investigation was launched with the intervention of the SSP of Kabithigol Lava. The letter goes on to state that a Navy officer reported missing along with 3 other Navy personnel had ventured out to sea on a small boat to extort money from Indian fishermen. The letter reads that while it is alleged that the sailors were hacked to death, since there is no evidence to prove this premise, further investigations must be undertaken.
On the 1st of April, an officer from the Galle South camp called over to our house to inform me about the death of my son CGA Gunasekara, who served as an assistant naval officer. Then they came to inform us not to make any statement in this regard to the press or any media. The Navy commander, Somatilaka Disanayaka, said this.
I believe that our children are being held in one of the detention camps. The former Navy commander Somatilaka Disanayaka sent 4 vehicles, one each to the houses of the missing naval officers. They took us to the Navy headquarters and pressurized us not to report this to any media nor to inform regarding this to the opposition parties. When we refused, he slammed the table and behaved in a foul manner.
I have a question to raise. He was a domestic assistant. How could he be sent out on duties in the sea? He called me in the evening on the 29th of March 2011 and told me that there was unrest within the camp and that he is ready to face anything and to take good care of our parents. My older brother has not contacted me ever since.
When News First made inquiries from former Navy Commander Admiral Somatilaka Disanayaka, he noted that it was revealed that the officers in question had been involved in corrupt activity and that he would never stand for the corrupt. The former Navy Commander denied having exerted any pressure on the families and reiterated that he had acted legitimately. News First made inquiries from the Navy media spokesperson, Commander Indika De Silva, who noted that senior Navy officers had conducted an inquiry. He noted that the inquiry revealed that the sailors had set out to sea in civilian attire without authorization, adding that officers who failed to make proper inquiries were punished. He added that a search operation launched by the Navy the very next day did not yield any result. Meanwhile, the relatives who engaged in the fast arrived at the Presidential Secretariat and met a senior Assistant Secretary to the President. The relatives had handed over a letter requesting that an investigation be launched into the disappearance of the 4 Navy personnel.
Welcome back to the news. Now, in another headline-making story, the Supreme Court today rejected a fundamental rights petition which cited former President Mahinda Rajapaksa as a respondent. The petition was filed by Duminda Nagamu of the Frontline Socialist Party.
In his petition, Duminda Nagamu, who contested the 2015 presidential election under the Frontline Socialist Party, stated that the deploying of army personnel to several areas in the country under the directives of the former President Rajapaksa during the run-up to the presidential election had violated the fundamental rights of himself and the public. The attorney at law representing the petitioner in court stated that such an act does not keep with the security requirements of the country. The counsel speaking in court requested that the former head of state be questioned in this regard as he was a candidate at the said election. He went on to state that though the military personnel were summoned every month, there was no requirement to summon the personnel after the conclusion of the civil war. President's counsel Palitha Fernando, who appeared on behalf of Mahinda Rajapaksa, stated in court that the president holds the right to make decisions on behalf of the country's security. Fernando pointed out that the current president too has issued this gazette notice. The Supreme Court bench, comprising of Chief Justice Keshri Pavan and Justices Sisira Abru and Anil Gunaratna, rejected the petition after considering facts presented in court.
The passport of former monitoring MP Sajan Divas Gunawardena was impounded by court today. The decision was made when Sajan Divas Gunawardena appeared before the Colombo Chief Magistrate.
Sajan Divas Gunawardena appeared before court over a complaint filed by the Commission to investigate allegations of bribery or corruption. Colombo Chief Magistrate Gihan Pilipetiya ordered for MP Sajan Divas Gunawardena to be released on bail set at 50,000 rupees and 2 sureties of 1 million rupees each. A statement was recorded today from Dr. P.B. Jasundara, the former secretary to the Ministry of Finance, over the hedging deal. Police media spokesperson ASP Ruwan Gunasekara said that Jasundara was summoned to the Financial Crimes Investigation Division of the police to record a statement. Meanwhile, former Minister Johnston Fernando was summoned to the Commission to investigate allegations of bribery or corruption today.
I was notified to appear here, so I'm here. There is a confidentiality here. I cannot reveal details to you. This has become a media charade. There needs to be a discretion. Ministers and MPs are summoned over bribes. If there is complete discretion, there is no issue. They are slinging mud at their opponents.
Meanwhile, the convener of the Anti-Corruption Front, Nishanta Srivarnasinghe, visited the Financial Crimes Investigation Division to provide a statement over a complaint filed by the front on fraud and corruption.
The Deputy Chairman of the Eastern Provincial Council, M.S. Zuhair, was removed through a no-confidence motion today. A majority of councillors voted for TNA Councillor Indrakumar Prasanna to replace Zuhair as Deputy Chairman.
While power shifted in the Eastern Provincial Council recently, following the appointment of the new Board of Ministers, agreements were also reached regarding changes to other positions. Prior to the council meeting this morning, a tense situation arose in the office of the chairman of the council, Chandadasa Galapati, when M.S. Zuhair refused to step down as deputy chairman. When the sitting convened, the Sri Lanka Muslim Congress presented a no-confidence motion against the deputy chairman. 19 councillors voted for the motion while 11 voted against. M.S. Zuhair lost the position of deputy chairman as a result, while Indrakumar Prasanna was appointed as the deputy chairman. M.S. Zuhair, who was removed as the deputy chairman of the Eastern Provincial Council today, is a member of the All Ceylon Makkal Congress, which is led by Minister Rishad Badiuddin.
Many petitions have been filed against the 19th Amendment to the Constitution. The Jatik Helurume went to courts against the amendment today.
We do not need a president with arbitrary executive powers or the executive powers. Similarly, we do not need a prime minister with arbitrary executive powers. Some are attempting to pickpocket the people's votes. There are those who dream of governing the country by pickpocketing the people's mandate and the executive powers.
Meanwhile, the JVP filed a petition with the Supreme Court in favour of the 19th Amendment to the Constitution. The petitions filed with the Supreme Court over the 19th Amendment to the Constitution will be taken up tomorrow. The petitions will be taken up before a bench comprising of Chief Justice Keshri Pavan and Justice Chandra Ekanayaka and Prasad Step.
A 10-year roadmap indicating the development in the field of power and energy was launched today. The aim of this program is to create a country that is able to cater to its own energy needs.
The launch was held under the auspices of Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe in Colombo today. Subject Minister Partli Champika Ranawaka noted that the roadmap highlights 8 points, adding that electricity would be provided for all people across the country by the end of this year.
It is because of the persistence and determination that our country was able to become self-sufficient in rice. We aim to create a nation that is rich in energy and become self-sufficient. We aim to extract oil and gas resources from our seas as well and be able to produce wind energy in order to become a powerful nation. We also aim to make Sri Lanka a superpower and give the benefits of this new industrial revolution to the people.
Subsequent to Minister Partli Champika Ranawaka's address, Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe launched a website on the 10-year roadmap of the development in the energy sector at this occasion.
දේශපාලන ආර්ථික ප්‍රශ්න විසඳගෙන අපේ ජනතාවට
If we are to become a powerful nation, then we have to solve our economic and political problems and have a proper system to take our people forward. We now wish to work together with all parties in Parliament in order to initiate this. We need to discuss whether we will all get ministerial posts or establish a Parliament working committee. Korea has treaded this path. Japan has treaded this path. As a small island nation, I wish to highlight Korea and Singapore. If we want to reach this sort of development, it is not only the leadership in politics. We must all reach a common agreement with regard to the 20-year policy.
මේ ව්‍යාපාරට දේශපාලන නායකත්වයේ සහයෝගය ලැබෙනවා පමණක් නෙමෙයි මේ රටේ අවුරුදු 20ක ප්‍රතිපත්ති ගැනත් අපේ මූලික එකඟතාවයක් තියෙන්න ඕනේ.
Sri Lankan workers in Yemen say that no program has been put in place to repatriate them amid the escalating conflict in that country.
A Saudi-led coalition carried out airstrikes on Houthi rebel positions in Yemen for a sixth night yesterday. 40 people were killed when at a camp for the internally displaced in northwest Yemen yesterday. However, the Foreign Affairs Ministry and the Sri Lanka Foreign Employment Bureau maintain that the Sri Lankan nationals in Yemen are safe.
We are in constant contact with several Sri Lankans in Yemen. The embassy in Oman too has been in constant contact with them. They too have said they are safe.
මම කතා කරන්නේ Newsfirst.lk යෙමනි සනා අගනුවර ඉඳන් යෙමනි කියන්නේ ලංකාව වගේ මේ අවස්ථාවේදී
I am speaking to Newsfirst from the Yemeni capital Sana'a. Even now there are attacks taking place in the capital Sana'a. Yemen is a country that is about 9 times larger than Sri Lanka. The capital Sana'a is among the capital cities in the world that are highest from sea level. As far as we know, there are about 65 Sri Lankans working here, and there is a small child too. They are not all in the same area. Some are 200, 300, 500 or even 1,000 kilometers away. Airstrikes on the capital Sana'a continued for the 6th day today. Our situation is very precarious. We cannot have any faith in terms of our security. Even now, if I simply look down, I can come across shell casings. Given the situation, we cannot even go out on the road. Even now, you can hear loud explosions in the distance.
International media reports say that the Indian and Chinese governments have already begun taking steps to evacuate their citizens.
No matter what steps India takes, be it to evacuate the nationals by air or by sea using 10 aircraft or a ship, arrangements have been made to evacuate the 45 Sri Lankan workers there along with them. I can make a definite statement on this only when I have a written document in my hand.
We also made inquiries into preparations made by the Sri Lankan embassy in neighbouring Oman.
We have, thoroughly informed the Foreign Ministry on the action that we have taken so far. Now, everything we have arranged. This is a very sensitive matter. We are dealing with the government of India and Sana'a Indian Embassy. We coordinated well. So now that authority, they are working for some approval to obtain. So once everything arranged, probably they will be evacuated. Now everything is under control. So there are 67, latest name list we received from Yemen. So now we are working with Indian Embassy in Sana'a to evacuate all the Sri Lankans. We haven't finalized the final destination. Sometimes maybe India, otherwise some other country.
The Sri Lankans who are trapped amid the rapidly escalating conflict ask that their evacuation be expedited.
The Sri Lankans here in the capital Sana'a can be rescued with international intervention. We attempted to reach the United Nations, but they have closed their office in Sana'a. We ask that steps be taken to bring us back to Sri Lanka from Yemen or take us to a safer location.
Now, Newsfirst is in contact with the Sri Lankan expatriates who are working in Yemen, and when there is a development with regard to this story, we will, of course, report it to you. Now, the tensions in Yemen is growing. Our Newsfirst international desk is keeping a close tab on this story, and we will report to you as and when there are developments. And we have a comprehensive story coming up later on in the news bulletin.
Moving on to business news. Several complications have arisen over a promise given through the government's interim budget to waive off the interest on gold jewellery pawned to banks. This was deduced through a circular issued by the Ministry of Finance.
According to the interim budget presented in January, instructions to waive off the interest on pawned gold jewellery were circulated among banks by the Finance Ministry. But a circular issued by the Finance Ministry on the 10th of March points out that only pawned gold that has been transferred to the non-performing category on or before the 31st of January 2015 will be eligible for the relief package. As a result, it is customers who pawned out gold jewellery on or before the 30th of October 2013 who will reap the benefits of this interest waiver. The normal procedure at banks is to auction pawned jewellery that has exceeded 1 year and has not been claimed. When Newsfirst made inquiries from certain state banks, they responded that gold jewellery pawned before the 30th of October 2013 had already been auctioned.
According to the circular issued, the gold that is to receive the waiver is not in the banks. The government has been involved in a total lie. Another issue is that according to the circular, the government has not waived the complete interest. If the interest rate was at 20% and now it is at 12.5%, according to this release, only 12.5% will be reduced. The remaining 8% will be taxed from the people. Therefore, we see this as a very cheap trick that has been carried out by the government. This is because the government said that they will completely waive the interest on gold pawned, which does not exceed 200,000 rupees per individual. If they said so, they should stick to their promise.
A tense situation erupted at an event which was held at Mondragala, which saw the participation of the Chief Minister of the Waiver province, Harin Fernando.
The event was held to commemorate the opening of the new Mahindodaya Technology Lab constructed at the Pallewela Mahavidyalaya. The event also saw the participation of the chairman of the Siyambalanduwa Pradeshya Sabha and 2 SLFP members of the Pradeshya Sabha. The 2 SLFP members departed the event in protest when the UNPU provincial councillor from the Mondragala district intervened to cancel a scheduled speech by the chairman of the Siyambalanduwa Pradeshya Sabha, Saman Warnakula Surya.
First up in sports news, a press conference was convened in Colombo today over the appointment of an interim committee for Sri Lanka cricket. The press conference was organised by the National Sports Foundation and the Save the Sports Sri Lanka organisation.
Each time an interim committee was appointed to the Sri Lanka Athletics Association, Sri Lanka has been warned. They said do not appoint an interim committee and that interim committees are not accepted internationally. We do not accept an ICC interim committee, let alone an interim International Olympic Committee. It is not a good thing. At present, a sport is something done on a professional level. Our team players are good. I do not have any second thoughts regarding their personal talents, but they lack professionalism, and the lack of professionalism means that there will be a management problem.
නිලයෙන් එහෙම නැත්නම් ඒ ක්‍රීඩා සංගම් වලට ඇති අයිතිය උල්ලංඝනය කිරීමට.
Shamir, do you know what Kalpitia is famous for?
Kalpite is famous for whale watching and dolphin watching.
That's right.
Have you been to Kalpite?
I definitely have.
And how many whales and dolphins did you see?
I couldn't count. I was too excited to see them. However, we should know that illegal fishing methods have caused damage to coral reefs, which in turn has had a negative impact on the coral fish population over there.
Now, something interesting took place today. The tourist boat, together with several environmental organizations, conducted Sri Lanka's first underwater cleanup operation in order to preserve Sri Lanka's largest coral reef, which spans around 320 square kilometers.
Tonight we leave you with some breathtaking visuals of this site, which is enjoyed by many and must be treasured. Take care and good night.